Hi, my name is Kirsten, and today I want to show you how to make coconut chai rice pudding in a pressure cooker. I'm going to be using a 6-quart Instant Pot Duo for this recipe, and the ingredients involved are rice. I've got a medium grain rice here, which is part of it's our standard sushi rice, what I use in my rice cooker. And to that, I'm actually going to add a little bit of think I'm going to switch cameras so you can see a little bit of this colorful rice. It's kind of, I don't know what else I would call it. It's got red rice and black rice, brown rice. It's got some barley and a sixth grain, which is escaping me now. But I buy it in a blend at the I buy it in a bag at the Asian grocery store, and it the red rice kind of turns everything pink, but I think it might be a little bit interesting. So you need rice because it's a rice pudding. You need some chai tea. I brew my chai tea, I make sun tea, and then I make it in the pressure cooker to use the tea bags again. I will put a link in there so you can in here so you can see how I make my pressure cooker chai. And do you need chai? If you don't have any chai, use water, no problem. And then coconut milk. This is a dairy-free dessert recipe. So you'll need some coconut milk. It is a dessert recipe though, so you'll need some sugar, salt, cinnamon, cardamom, black pepper, and ginger, and 2 eggs. So it's gluten-free, dairy-free dessert recipe, but not vegan because it does call for a couple eggs. All right, so to start, we're going to cook the rice in the pressure cooker. And I think I can switch to that cam too. We'll see. Okay, I'm going to add 1 cup of rice and 1.5 cups of tea to my pressure cooker. And just to make it a little interesting, I'm going to put some of this 6-grain rice blend into the bottom of the cup before I fill it up with rice. Sit there for a second. Oh, Robert, you're underfoot. All right. I'm using the cup from my rice cooker. Means I'm gonna need a little more of that. Okay, so I'm gonna add the rice, and I didn't rinse this rice. And then I'm gonna add 1.5 cups of chai tea. You don't need to rinse the rice because what you want is the starch of the rice to help thicken the pudding. This is plain unsweetened chai. But again, if all you have is water, that's completely fine too. All right, now I'm gonna close and lock the lid, and we're going to cook this for close and lock the lid, and I'm going to cook this for 3 minutes at high pressure and allow for a 10-minute natural pressure release. This is not my dessert silicone ring, so I'm going to go ahead and switch rings to my dessert one, which I only use for sweets and desserts. The dog fell underfoot. All right, it's blue, so I can know what I'm using. All right, 3 minutes high pressure. And then I will be back here in a moment. So stay tuned. While the rice is cooking, I'm going to prepare the custard. So I've got my blender handy and a can of coconut milk. I'm going to dump that in. This is full fat, unsweetened coconut milk. Boop, boop, boop. And to that, I'm going to add 1/2 cup of sugar. plus a half teaspoon each salt, ginger, cinnamon, and cardamom. So I'll do those. Boom, 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 boom. So I can hear the pot starting to come to, the steam starting to come out. Salt, sugar, cinnamon, cardamom, ginger. If you really wanted to boost up the flavor even more than using these ground spices, you could go ahead and use some whole spices steeped in, pressure cooked in with the rice, and a quarter teaspoon of black pepper. When I make my chai in the pressure cooker, I routinely throw in, along with the tea bags, a couple of whole cloves, a cardamom, a green cardamom pod, a couple of fennel seeds, some cinnamon chunks, and some pieces of star anise. If I combine all of those together, and it kind of infuses into my pressure cooker. So I'm going to blend the coconut milk with the spices and the sugar and the salt that I just put in here. And then we'll add that to eggs. And then add the eggs one at a time. You. I know it's bold. Just cracking straight in there. Okay, save this for your garden. Put that in your compost. Helps with tomatoes, helps to stop blossom and rot. All right, I'll blend up egg number 2. All righty. So I'm going to let that sit for a few minutes so the spices can kind of bloom into the coconut milk. And then I'll give it one more zhuzh right before we pour it in when the rice is done. Okay, as you can see on this screen, the 10 minutes of natural pressure release has elapsed. So I'm going to go ahead and release any of the remaining pressure, which is a little bit, but not much. And I've got my custard mixture that I blended together, the coconut milk, a can of coconut milk, 2 eggs, half cup of sugar, and then a half teaspoon of salt and ginger and cinnamon, quarter teaspoon of cardamom and pepper, 2 eggs. So that's standing by. And now the pressure is released. Let me show you what that looks like. I'm gonna break up the cooked rice, give that a stir. With my spatula. Right, and then I'm gonna turn on the saute function and pour in the custard. I'm supposed to be whisking constantly, but I'll get to the whisking in a second, I think. I just want to let this come up to a boil so that the eggs get cooked. Ah, shoot, you know what I didn't add into this? Turmeric. You can also add turmeric into this, which I may do in a minute. Sure, why not? Just put a little sprinkle. Make sure that doesn't boil too much. I'm going to go with 1/4 teaspoon turmeric, just for color. And we'll whisk that in. I have a lot of turmeric in my chai. I think it's good for you. Okay, so I'm going to keep on whisking while this heats up and coconut milk and the eggs cook until it's bubbly. This recipe is from the book The Essential Instant Pot by Coco Morante. And she's got a terrific cookbook author. I have read a lot of her cookbooks, and her recipes do not steer me wrong. She tells me it'll take about 4 minutes to start to come to a bubble and thicken up. And I can just tell right now that it's nearly thickened. Switch back for you. All right. I'm going to keep on cooking this, and I'll show you at the end what it looks like when it's thickened. But you're going to want to transfer this to individual dishes to cool, or just your serving pot to cool, whichever you're going to be using. I actually like to eat this when it's warm, personally, but it'll be a little runny after it's fully cooked. But once it chills down, it thickens into a very solid mass. All right, I am starting to see some bubbles around the edges. So let me show you that. Okay, since it's starting to bubble around the edges, I'm going to go ahead and give it a couple more whisks, and then I'm going to turn off the saute function. And that is going to allow it's going to keep on cooking because there's still heat right now. It's not like a gas stove. That will thicken up a little bit more. If you want to take a temperature on it, you're looking for 175 or so degrees. But once it starts to bubble and you see bubbling coming, you know you're good to go. It is still bubbling even though I've turned it off. So I'm going to keep on whisking. And then I'll transfer it to serving dishes. If you want to sprinkle a little cinnamon or cardamom or allspice or baking spice or other spice on top when you're serving, just to make it look even prettier, please go right ahead. You do you. And serve it chilled or room temperature, or you can be like me and you can just eat it when it's warm, whichever you like. And then I will take a picture of the prettiest thing and put that here to end. Okay, hope you enjoy. While the rice is cooking, I need to prepare the custard and let that get ready and let the flavors absorb, stuff like that. I know, Molly. I'm going to throw that one out.